Bruce Lee is a name that needs no introduction, and he's still the unchallenged star in the martial arts movie genre. It didn't take long for him to shoot into the limelight, and he achieved stardom with his lead role in the martial arts movie The Big Boss. Unfortunately, the legendary Bruce Lee passed away after a couple of years, but his legacy is evident even today. His iconic screen presence, innovative and daring action scenes, and unforgettable movies like Enter the Dragon have established him as one of the best martial artists of all time. In this video, we'll stray away from the familiar territory of Bruce Lee and delve into some of his unfinished works. It's worth wondering what the man could have achieved had he lived longer, and these unfinished movie and TV properties will probably give you a glimpse of this wishful thinking. Before we get too deep into things, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Warrior. The Warrior has to be one of the most controversial projects that Bruce Lee has been associated with, and much of the controversy is because of the debate on the originality of the concept. Of course, we're familiar with the show Warrior in 2019, which stars Andrew Koji. The story delves into his life as a Chinese immigrant who comes to San Francisco during the 1870s while looking for his lost sister. However, the circumstances are such that he's soon pulled into the Chinatown gang wars that were prevalent during that era. The show even got nominated for multiple awards, and what many aren't aware of is that the concept of the show was something that Bruce Lee had pitched a long time ago. It's alleged that way back around 1971, Bruce Lee had pitched an idea to Warner Bros. And Paramount. It involved a story where an Asian immigrant who's an expert in martial arts wanders into the Old West. He gets caught up in various struggles, and his adventures would be captured in the episodes of the TV series. Well, nothing materialized regarding the same. A year later, Warner Bros. Released a Kung Fu TV series that had a very similar concept and starred David Carradine. Even today, many are of the opinion that the original concept was stolen from Bruce Lee, but there are also some counter-arguments that the writer, Ed Spielman, had given the idea way earlier in the late 60s. Of course, there's no way to tell what actually happened, except for the fact that Bruce Lee's vision could not be fulfilled back then. It took several decades before the 2019 version did some justice to the concept. Charlie Chan's #1 son. For those who aren't familiar with Charlie Chan, a brief introduction might help here. Charlie Chan is a Chinese-American protagonist who's been the star of many mystery novels and movies that were widely popular during the 1930s and 40s. The fictional character solved crimes for the Honolulu Police Department, and Bruce Lee was set to play the lead role in a TV series featuring one of his stories. The TV show was titled #1 Son, and it could have been Bruce Lee's first major role in an American production had the plan worked out. To look into this lost project, we have to look back at Bruce Lee's history in American television. He already had some acting experience when he started to look for work in movies and TV shows in the US. He wrote his own scripts, auditioned for various roles, but his acting struggles continued, forcing him to join Hong Kong's martial arts movie industry. This particular project inception dates back to 1964, when Bruce Lee was discovered by a television producer, William Dozier, who thought that Bruce Lee would be the perfect choice for a show that he was planning. This show was going to be about Charlie Chan, and Bruce Lee could have been the star of the show following a screen test. The story was supposed to be premised on the backdrop of Chan killed off in the very first episode. The focus would then be on his eldest son, and the character would go on to solve his father's murder mystery and get his revenge. Back in the day, it would have been an almost unprecedented move to cast an Asian actor as the lead of a TV series, but William Dozier was mightily impressed with Bruce Lee. Unfortunately, ABC never gave the green light for this project, and it was eventually scrapped. It could have been a major breakthrough for Lee's Hollywood career, but they'd had other plans. The idea of an action-packed movie featuring him in such an exciting role is too good to have been abandoned, but Dozier did manage to cast Lee in The Green Hornet, which is also equally important in shaping his legacy. The Silent Flute. The Silent Flute was a project that came to Bruce Lee during the late 60s. By then, he'd already become a household name for fans, and his work on the Green Hornet TV series had earned him quite the following. He also spent his time training several Hollywood celebrities in martial arts, and this is how the script of The Silent Flute came up. A screenwriter named Sterling Silliphant and a Hollywood A-list actor named James Coburn used to train with Bruce Lee, and together, they developed an idea for this unique martial arts movie. They even got the attention of Warner Bros., and this movie was supposed to be an indicator of the difference between Oriental and Western thinking. A philosophical story mixed with martial arts and action, it was almost the perfect combination, and the narrative would focus on a martial artist named Cord, who searches for a book that can unlock the path to enlightenment. While Bruce Lee wasn't supposed to play the main protagonist, he would be part of the film as various martial artists who train Cord and teach him kung fu. There were plans to get Steve McQueen on board for the role of Cord, but he turned down the offer. Lee then went to James Coburn for the role, and everything was almost set perfectly. Even the script was ready and locations were being scouted, but this is the point where everything fell apart. Bruce Lee and James Coburn struggled to get along, and it was reported that Lee often felt that James Coburn was being treated as the star of the movie. Their disagreements became a major problem, and both of them left the project. This was followed by Bruce Lee's casting in The Big Boss, and later, when The Silent Flute was revisited, Lee had moved on in his career. Coburn even said in an interview that when he approached Lee once again, the latter told him that the makers could no longer afford him. The script was reworked and it became Circle of Iron, and Jeff Cooper replaced Coburn in the lead role. It did give Bruce Lee a writing credit, but the true martial arts fans know what we missed out on. Game of Death. This unfinished Bruce Lee movie is perhaps the most talked about amongst all of them, but it also happens to be one of the projects that was reportedly very close to the late actor's heart. When he began working on this movie, it was only his second film as a director, and it followed his directorial venture, Way of the Dragon. Bruce Lee had shot around 100 minutes of footage for the film, but a lot of it was just outtakes. Unfortunately, the work was interrupted after he got the opportunity to work with Warner Bros. On Enter the Dragon. It was too good an offer to let go, and when he became a part of the project, he had to halt the work on Game of Death. As luck would have it, Bruce Lee never had the chance to resume work on the project before he passed away. Over the years, we've had various versions of Game of Death released for the fans, and each of them uses different amounts of footage originally shot by Lee. One of the most controversial versions of Game of Death was the original 1978 version that used only 11 minutes of Bruce Lee's footage. This version even used shots of Bruce Lee's real-life funeral, which was definitely not in good taste. The other noteworthy version of Game of Death was released much later in 2019, and it was called Game of Death Redux. This was released as a part of the Criterion Collection's Blu-ray box set of Bruce Lee films, and it's a 40 minutes of footage that is actually a pure distillation of the footage originally created by Lee. We can't help but imagine how the original Game of Death might have turned out if Bruce Lee had had the time to finish the project. Charlie and Chan. We have spoken about several projects featuring Bruce Lee that were almost underway and only got cancelled at the last moment or failed to be completed. However, Charlie and Chan is one TV series that never really got beyond the concept stage. This was another story featuring the popular fictional character Charlie Chan, and Bruce Lee was all set to co-star in this TV series as a friend of Chan. When the basic idea was revealed, many were quick to draw parallels with the 1960s secret agent show I Spy. It all happened shortly after Green Hornet's cancellation, and Bruce Lee was even involved in talks about this prospective show. We don't know for sure what actually went wrong, but there is a chance that Bruce Lee received far more lucrative offers. Also, casting him was no child's play at this point, and his hefty fees weren't affordable for many studios in the industry. These were busy times for Bruce Lee, and even aside from this particular show, there were probably some others that are completely unheard of simply because they never made it past the idea phase. Yellow-faced tiger, or A Man Called Tiger. Every Bruce Lee fan is familiar with the iconic movie The Way of the Dragon, which is also regarded as one of the greatest martial arts movies of all time. It's a crucial step in Bruce Lee's legacy, and while the movie is celebrated, many remain unaware of the film that the martial arts legend was almost going to be a part of, A Man Called Tiger, or Yellow-Faced Tiger. Yes, this film was the brainchild of Hong Kong studio Golden Harvest, which is credited for both Fist of Fury and The Big Boss. Yellow-Faced Tiger could have been the third movie featuring Bruce Lee, and he was supposed to play the role of a martial artist who suffers from jaundice. In fact, this is the reason behind the title Yellow-Faced Tiger. If the project became a reality, Bruce Lee would have teamed up with director Lo Wei once again after his first movie. However, Lee started to have second thoughts on the role, and much of it had to do with his rivalry with Jimmy Wang Yu, another popular martial arts star during the time. Wang Yu had made a name for himself after his movie The Chinese Boxer, where he was the writer, director, and actor. Bruce Lee wanted to accomplish a similar feat, so he went on to create The Way of the Dragon, and Yellow-Faced Tiger, or A Man Called Tiger, became an abandoned project. Golden Harvest reportedly cast his rival Wang Yu after Lee left the project, but the movie wasn't half as successful as Bruce Lee's The Way of the Dragon. Maybe it was the right choice to go ahead with his own project, but we still believe that Bruce Lee in Yellow-Faced Tiger would have been a treat to watch. Later, the movie was also made with a new title, Slaughter in San Francisco, starring Chuck Norris as the lead actor. Dragon of Jade. This particular unfinished Bruce Lee movie is still quite mysterious because precious little has been unearthed about the details. All we know is that Bruce Lee had planned to make Dragon of Jade before he accepted the role in Enter the Dragon. This was supposed to be a movie under the Golden Harvest banner, and only the test photos for the movie are available today. The test photos suggest that Dragon of Jade was probably going to be an wuxia film, a genre where the story is a period drama featuring characters skilled in martial arts. Such movies were plentiful during the 70s, as both Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest made films in this genre frequently, but Bruce Lee never starred in one, and this could have been a unique project in that regard. Maybe it's for the best that Bruce Lee refused to delve into the generic stuff and chose to chart his own path, because nobody's complaining about how his career turned out. Untitled Shaw Brothers movie. The kung fu and martial arts movie industry and Shaw Brothers goes hand in hand in almost every aspect. However, even though Bruce Lee was possibly the biggest name in the genre back in the day, he never featured in a movie under this production studio. This wasn't due to a lack of effort on the studio's part, however. It was reported that Bruce Lee received an offer from them back in the early 1970s, but the remuneration wasn't enough to keep him interested. Instead, he took up an offer with the main competitor of Shaw Brothers, Golden Harvest. This is when The Big Boss happened and the movie pushed Bruce Lee further into a world of stardom. Later, it was believed that Shaw Brothers did manage to strike a deal with the legendary martial arts star. In the back half of 1973, Bruce Lee was all set to star in a Shaw Brothers movie, and there were even some strong rumors around the title of this movie, which was reportedly Seven Sons of the Jade Dragon. One of the finest directors who worked with the studio, Chor Yun, was supposed to direct this project, and maybe this would have worked out after Game of Death was completed. The rest, as we know, is unfortunate history, as Bruce Lee got engaged in other work commitments and his untimely demise ensured that this promising project remained unexplored. It surely would have been a remarkable combination, Bruce Lee in a Shaw Brothers movie, and it's simply too mouth-watering of an idea not to think about. Marvelous verdict! The man, the myth, the legend. Ever since the demise of Bruce Lee, there have been various research teams and movie buffs who have explored all of these unfinished projects that involved him. We'll probably never come across a greater martial arts star who's cemented as a silver screen great, even with his handful of films in a rather short lifespan. The unearthing of all these unfinished projects is nothing short of a goldmine for fans, and we hope that prominent producers and directors make some use of these concepts and turn them into something that Bruce Lee would have aspired for. It truly was a magical era when Bruce Lee movies entertained the fans, and we hope our insights into all his unfinished movies and TV shows led to a nostalgic stroll down memory lane. Don't forget to let us know in the comments down below which one of his unfinished works appealed to you the most. Also, we'd just love to hear your favorite Bruce Lee movie. Who knows, maybe we'll follow up with an entire video on that. Maybe you just want to share your take on his short life and memorable career. We'd love to hear more about this martial arts legend and how he's affected you. That's all we got for you this time, but if you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.